Hello everyone and welcome to the Notre Dame Video Recruiting Mailbag at Blue and Gold Illustrated. I'm your host Tom Loy. We are going to make this a weekly thing going on here at blueandgold.com and kind of keep you guys updated throughout the process, and especially now that games are starting, official visit weekends are happening, and recruiting is starting to pick up. So going to make this a weekly thing, and we appreciate all you guys over at blueandgold.com sending in your questions, and let's get right into it. Irish Dominate is the first one to send a question, and he wants to know the latest on Asar Below, the four-star linebacker out of Indianapolis. Below has gotten a little quiet at this point. I know he's not a big fan of the recruiting process, and it's Michigan or Notre Dame for him. I know for a while it was definitely seemed like Notre Dame was going to be the team to beat. He's got a great relationship with defensive line coach Mike Elston, who recruits his area. Big fan of all-everything linebacker Jalen Smith at Notre Dame. So it definitely seemed like it was trending in favor of the Irish. Steve Wiltfong, our National Director of Recruiting at 24/7 Sports, reported that he was starting to think that that Bilal was going to end up at Michigan based on everything that he was hearing. So it's kind of a toss-up at this point. Like I said, he's gone a little quiet at this point. I still think Notre Dame lands him in the end. I think the Irish are hoping that he doesn't make a decision. He comes to campus for the game against Michigan on September 6th, takes in the atmosphere, takes in the game, and makes his decision after that. A big win will definitely help, and help their chances with Bilal. So we'll see what happens there. But ideally, in a perfect world, he comes to campus as an uncommitted prospect and makes his decision after that. He's actually Irish Dominate was actually asking if Tevin Cone, if there's any chance he commits on his visit to the Notre Dame-Michigan game. There is a chance. I mean, I know he's got official visits lined up, and this is the four-star linebacker we're talking about out of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. There is a chance that he commits. He's got visits lined up to Notre Dame on September 6th, and he's going to take trips to both Miami and Florida at that point for official visits, and then he wants to make a decision after all three visits. That said, like we said in the summer during the opening, all indications are Notre Dame feels very good about their chances with Cone. That was mentioned to me by multiple sources, that both he and his father like everything about Notre Dame. He's done nothing but talk about Notre Dame since he was on campus for the Irish invasion on June 20th. So we'll see what happens. I still have Notre Dame landing Cone, but Florida made a major move and they got him on campus for Friday Night Lights last month. So we'll see what happens. But no, definitely Cone could possibly end his recruitment at that point and commit during the Michigan game. But you know, if he commits and then still takes visits, it's kind of like he's just basically naming Notre Dame as leader. Henry J. wants to know, what are some of the common questions a recruit asks a recruiter? I guess the main one probably is, are you going to be here if I choose to sign here? That's directed, you know, to a head coach, a Brian Kelly, things like that, or maybe his position coach. They want to know if they're going to be here. If I come here and I commit to you, are you going to be, you know, committing to me? That comes down to the thing, are you committing to a school or are you committing to a certain coach? Which, you know, in the end, you should probably always commit to a school. That's my opinion. The other things they'll probably want to know is playing time. All these kids consider themselves one of the best players in the nation. They're confident in their abilities, and, you know, rightfully so. Will they get on the field as a freshman? A lot of them want to do it. Some are okay with, you know, taking a red shirt, bulking up, adding weight. But playing time's another one they talk about. Depth chart. Definitely they want to know where they stand, where they will walk in as a freshman. You know, well, you know, that's the big selling point at running back this year. That's you know, Coach Alford, the running backs coach at Notre Dame. That's his pitch to Jamabo. Amongst everything else that Notre Dame offers their student athletes, which is great. It also helps knowing that you're going to be the third running back right when you walk in, you know, behind Torian Folston and Greg Bryant. So, you know, where they stand on the depth chart's a big one. And lastly, how many are you going to sign at my position? You know, most quarterbacks, for example, want to go when they're the guy, when they're the #1 guy, and they're going to be the only guy you sign at that position. Now, Notre Dame's going to sign 2 running backs this year, at least they want to, in 2015. Both Josh Adams, both Jamabo, they're okay with that. So that's, if Notre Dame ends up landing both of them, they're obviously comfortable with that because Alford's been pitching 2 running backs the entire time. Minnesota Domer wants to know if there's a good chance Jamabo commits on his official visit to Notre Dame, which happens to be for the September 6th game against Michigan. I wouldn't call it a good chance, but there's definitely a chance that he could leave committed. He's got a great relationship with Coach Alford, with Coach Kelly. He's been on campus. His brother is now in favor of the Irish, from all indications from the sources I've spoken to. His best friend, and both of those guys, his best friend and his brother accompanied him when he was in South Bend earlier this spring, late spring. And, you know, all indications are that Notre Dame's the favorite at this point. UCLA is another school in the mix. Then there's a couple local schools floating around, but I don't think they're really pushing hard for Jamabo like UCLA and like Notre Dame are. Again, I think Notre Dame lands him. It would be more of a shock at this point if they didn't, but you know, they hopefully they can get him on board. You know, Notre Dame is hoping that they can get him on board sooner rather than later. They don't want to let that recruitment, you know, play out too long. So I would say not a good chance, but I would definitely say there's a chance he commits. That's it for us this week. Again, I'm Tom Lloyd with Blue and Gold Illustrated. Thanks for watching the Notre Dame Video Recruiting Mailbag, and we'll see you next week.